edition of Bunker Office Hours, a weekly live show brought to you by a team of Bunker Labs, a national network, veteran entrepreneurs and military spouses dedicated to growing our ecosystem. I'm your host, the one and only Iron Mike Steadman, coming to you from the beautiful city of Newark, New Jersey, joined by my co-host Amy Morrison today, and our special guest today, fellow Naval Academy grad and entrepreneur, Kyle Aquino. What's going on, Kyle?
Hey, brother, living the dream. Appreciate you having me on over here.
Kyle, I gotta level up, man. Your camera is way nicer than mine. What kind of camera is that?
It's this little Gucci Canon camera. I just realized online how to set up a little studio over here.
Love it. And Kyle, where are you dialing in from today?
I'm calling in from Las Vegas right now, but in a short moment I'll be moving back down to Southern California.
Awesome. We're gonna get into that and a lot more. Amy and I are just coming back from an amazing week in Chicago. We're out there with the Bunker Labs team for the CEO Circle Fly-In, powered by JP Morgan and Chase. Amy, do you want to give people a quick update on what that experience was like, while also tell them about everything else that's going on in the bunker this week?
Sure. Yeah, CEO Circle was great. It was my first fly-in to see in person. Usually I just get to see the photos. So it was great to meet everybody in the cohort. Cohort's doing great. We'll probably have updates on some stuff that's happening with the cohort soon. And applications are open. So let's transition to what's going on in Bunkerland. So we've got USAA pitch competition. Applications are still open until June 30th. So you can apply for that. That's for $50K in cash prizes and connections to USAA and Bunker community and all that fun stuff. And then, like I said, applications are open for CEO Circle, the next cohort. Those applications are also closing June 30th. And then we also have applications open for Breaking Barriers. And Kyle is a facilitator on that, so I'm sure we'll talk about that a little bit. And then the last thing I want to just remind everybody that with the Bunker blog is up. We've got Spotlight for Pride. Pride is still happening for another couple of days. And then we've got just the calendar of events going on and how-tos and all kinds of resources you need for your business happening over on the blog. So that's awesome.
Me. All right. Thanks, Amy. Without further ado, Kyle, man, so happy to have you on the platform. Bring our listeners up to speed on Inviz and what you're currently raising capital for.
Yeah, for sure. Again, my name is Kyle Aquino, and I'm the CEO of a cybersecurity startup called Inviz, where in short, we make your networks invisible to external cyber attacks. Our premise is this: hackers can't hack what they can't see, so might as well make your networks invisible instead. And what we've done here, we've taken an off-the-grid approach to your cybersecurity and just made it a whole lot easier for a lot of small to mid-sized businesses to implement what we call zero trust principles and enterprise grade, military grade cybersecurity without spending a whole ton of money.
So Kyle, you're a successful entrepreneur, right? You ran, Get Paid to Travel for what, 8 years, even making the Inc. 5000 list, all right? How much harder is it doing this startup than your first business?
Oh, it's actually a whole lot harder. My previous business, it started off as a side hustle when I was a naval officer at the time, and it was in the industry of network marketing. So yeah, self-employed mostly, but grew an organization of over 2,000 people, independent representatives worldwide in 7 countries. Independent reps are kind of a different animal because they're not your employees. They don't report necessarily directly to you. They don't have to follow you. If they're following your leadership, it's on a volunteer basis. So your personal development really carries you further. The more outward focused you are, the more likely that people are going to go to battle and stick in the trenches along with you. But I was already leveraging an existing system. They already had an existing product that I didn't have to develop myself. I'm just leveraging the fact that it was already created. A lot of the marketing systems or sales enablement material were already created. And I just had to learn it's pretty much like as a self-employed person, imagine like a one-man franchisee taking Yep, just pretty much taking notes from all the people who already paid the path and follow what they did. And I was like, if you're gonna do what they do, you're likely gonna get similar results. And what's different right now as a startup is, yeah, other people have paved the way as a startup, but it's definitely a road that's much less traveled, especially if you're introducing a new disruptive technology um, in a very noisy environment, and especially in an environment after the whole, with the whole VC venture capital landscape recently. Yeah, it's been and the layoffs and the whole tech, and with all the tech startups, it's been a challenging environment. Something I don't necessarily uh, acknowledge myself, because at the end of the day, it's what the reality is what I create of it, and so I don't really attempt to make that a thing, but it is a reality that we are navigating right through, pretty much navigating through some tough waters to really launch a startup right now.
What made you make the jump?
Yeah, so what made me make the jump was that I was already very successful with my previous company, and unfor- unfortunately, we were promoting travel. So you can imagine what happened with COVID. So imagine your paycheck dropping from around 50K a month to about a few $100. So I had to change fast. Now that I'm married, I have a child. My wife was pressuring me, "Hey, you need to get back to a job." And for me, coming from a self-employed type of situation, that was not something that really sunk with me. That really resonated with me. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. Not knocking at jobs, but it just wasn't my thing. And 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 so before even going back into the workforce all in with that, I looked into the startup world, and I'm glad that I met up with my fellow co-founder Phil Smith, who's our CTO and founder of NBiz. And after doing after doing our due diligence with one another, we decided, hey, you know what, we'll partner in this venture and really take off with it.
So where are we at with the venture in terms of, did you decide to bootstrap and initially, and then it said, okay, we need to start raising capital? What made the decision on, raising capital in the first place?
Yeah, it's already been founder funded. A significant amount of money and effort has been placed into it. The company has been around since 2019. Our technical founder, it took years for him to further refine the product to where it is today. And so when I came on board as CEO, I was not the original founder, so I came on board late November. And so when I met him, Phil Smith, the creator, I had to verify for myself, like, hey, is this a man who I want to be partnered up with? Almost like a marriage, right? And not only that, making sure that the technology was sound, that it was good to go and sellable. And so I felt very comfortable, since I came from a go-to-market background perspective, to be able to go and launch that. So right now we are fundraising for a 2 million seed round. And so by the time I came on board, we already had all of our investor documents pretty much ready to go to already start raising the money. And so right now I've been responsible for getting the initial customer traction going on, and also raising the funds to really properly launch this business.
All right, let's talk about gaining customers, because I just got off a webinar, and everybody loves having these great business ideas, but when it comes to getting customers, it's like, hey, Mike, how do I actually go to market? What have you learned? Actually, better yet, talk to us about the experience of going to market with NBiz, getting those initial customers.
Let's just say it's been an interesting experience. So first of all, they're coming from a B2C background and now going to B2B. It's a different ball game, although it's still the same in terms of everybody is still a consumer. We're still dealing with human beings. The industry that I'm in, cybersecurity, it's a very busy space. Our target persona is a CISO, who is a chief information security officer or chief information officer, what have you, depends on the organization. And and those guys get hit up on the daily, like 50 plus emails a day. So, and also with random LinkedIn outreaches as well. So, cutting above the noise is highly critical. And even though you got the best whiz bang subject line and creative opener and whatnot, you know, I really had to lean on some of my network marketing knowledge in terms of starting with my hot and warm market and trying to leverage my connections. Everybody knows somebody, and tap rooting into my network, and even going 5, 6 levels deep and at least getting introduced to um, a empathetic person who'd be open to adopting at such an early stage. And so a lot of it is just some of our first customers mainly were just found through that. Like, we've used tools like Zoom Info for intent data, trying to find people or companies that are already in the market for our product. And even though I mass emailed all of them, put them on email automations, and even calling their personal cell phone numbers and whatnot, it didn't really get a whole lot.
Oh, that was you calling.
Oh, that was me calling.
That was you calling.
That was me calling, man. Absolutely.
No.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, but here's the thing, man. It's hard for everyone. All y'all tuning in, y'all think there's this magic secret sauce where people are going down left and right, right? I just read the article the other day about, I think it's IRL,
Yep.
right? In real life, where it's like 95% of their users are bots, right? Getting customers is hand-to-hand combat, man. I'm telling y'all. So of all the stuff you've done, what has worked better than anything else?
Yeah, what's worked better than anything else was tapping into my hot and warm market and reaching out on LinkedIn as well. And then if I could get a warm intro, you know, trying to play human chess in a way, you know, trying to find if they have mutual connections, and already creating affordable an email where it would be relatively low lift for the person who's going to intro me, because I'm probably the best promoter for myself, correct? And as with anybody else, you're probably the best promoter of yourself. So why not already create a blurb for you, send it to them, and then so that they can add just a little tidbit about their relationship with you, or a little side note about you, and forward it to the individual that you're wanting to connect with via that person. And even if that person that they're referring me to, oftentimes I'm meeting people and they're asking me, hey, do you want to connect with so and so and so and so? And they might not necessarily be them in the media term. They might necessarily sound like they're going to be an immediate value to the business yet, but I don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So I'm open. It's not like I got a bunch of people knocking my door right now. So might as well take the meeting and then discover ways that, because we've met and now we turn a cold relationship into a warmer one, that they're more likely going to want to serve you. You'll see that a lot of people want to serve out of the goodness of their hearts. They'll want to figure out a way to add value to you, and especially if you're able to articulate what value really looks like.
Awesome. Well, I don't want to steal the show here because we got a lot of people that are chomping at the bits to ask you some questions. So right off the bat, my man Jimmy Spikes wants to know, how has Bunker helped you out with the tech industry?
Oh, Bunker has helped me out tremendously. Matter of fact, I'm currently the cohort facilitator for the AAPI Breaking Barriers in Entrepreneurship program. And I was actually in the cohort earlier this year. It was led by Renee Bob, and it was a great experience. I'm glad that I came on through, because I initially came in thinking, hey, I already got an established business. We're just coming to market. I don't know if some of this information that I'll be receiving here would be like idea or ideation type stage items that I may not necessarily need to hear at the moment. But again, I don't know what I don't know. And I just, at the end of the day, I want to connect with fellow military veteran entrepreneurs. Came in there with an open mind. And I was very surprised that a lot of my cohort members are already kicking butt in their businesses, or they're coming with similar challenges that I'm facing. And we've created a curriculum ourselves, essentially, based on the needs and wants of where our businesses are today. And I developed some lifelong relationships where I was participating at the Veteran Business Battle over at Houston about a month and a half ago, and meeting some of these people in real life. Now we're talking in IRL. We're meeting these people in real life over there, and it's like, hey, man, like, it's awesome that we just met only maybe 1 or 2 months ago. And now we're here, and we've found ways to contribute to each other's businesses and also be fellow cheerleaders as we see people just crushing it out there.
That's great. Now, as far as the fundraisers go, right, how are you balancing your time between getting new customers and fundraising?
Yeah, so it feels like I'm spinning a bunch of plates and hoping none of them drops. And initially, I came on board as CEO to raise funds, and to my detriment, I did find out along the way that because a lot of them wanted to de-risk their investment, a lot of investors wanted to de-risk, that they are very interested in seeing customer traction, early customer traction, at least some early adopters even. So my focus shift towards, okay, let's just go get the money. Let's go sell this thing, and try to get the initial customers coming in to validate that there's people out there who really want what we have, and then only use investor capital if we want to scale a repeatable process that we've identified over here. But
yeah. So Kyle, your camera has frozen for a minute. Can you relog back in real quick?
Okay.
Yeah, just exit out and then come back in. I think your camera froze. And for those tuning in, man, this is an important lesson, right? This is one of the hard parts about being a startup founder, okay? Especially if you're looking to raise capital. Investors want to see traction, all right? So that means not only while you're trying to get investors, you also got to get out there and fight tooth and nail to get customers as well. And so that's one of the reasons why in the startup scene, you see where you'll have the CEO and then you'll have the CTO, right? One is focusing on building product, right? Getting customers. The other one is out there shaking hands, kissing babies, trying to fundraise.
Yeah, absolutely. And in the words of Tim Shea, who's like a board member of Bunker, it was like, be like a cockroach, don't get crushed out there. So, in retrospect, I'm looking at like, yeah, just don't die while you're trying to go get the funding that you need, whether it's from customers or from investors. And it's operating with sheer faith that, hey, so long as I'm putting in the work and I'm executing with excellence, and I could go to sleep at night and look at myself in the mirror and say, hey, I did everything I could with the resources and tools that are given. That all that effort is going to mean something, or it's going to result in some, because I've taken massive and immediate action early on, that's going to result into something a whole lot sooner, or it's going to set the stage for the blessing that will become in the later days or months upcoming.
So actually, I just took a note to myself because I'm gonna record a podcast on this topic. The unwritten rule of entrepreneurship is to stay alive.
Yes.
Right? Now, this is ethical though, being ethical, right? But you have to keep healthy cash in your business. So sometimes you might have to spin out something else to try, right? But at the end of the day, you got to stay alive, right? Cash is king. People tell you this over and over again. And when you think about the pandemic, right? When stuff started changing, and for that moment in time where capital was tight, right? A lot of startups went away, right? And you even think about now, a lot of layoffs, a lot of different stuff going on, right? Why? Because if you're solely relying on venture capital to fund your business, that means you're also very exposed to the market. You're exposed in general as entrepreneurs, but you've got to be able to, what's the term we say in the military, Marine Corps? Improvise, adapt, and overcome. That basically means stay alive.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
Now, I think one question I do want to ask you is, for our viewers, right? Do you ever think about, okay, at what point do you say, hey, do we have something here and we want to keep going, versus, hey, we might need to try something else. We might need to either pivot or maybe launch a new business. Like mentally, where are you at with that?
Yeah, right now I'm still deep in the trenches, deep in the fight. There are times where I did feel like, wow, I don't know if this is working. I don't know how much runway we have. Hey, we got I now have a family and a child, so it's not just me I need to consider. And a lot of it outside of business is trying to creatively finance the runway, essentially. Like, how do we creatively finance to way away, or how do we juggle all of this? And also, thank goodness I taken years of personal development, and also uh, a person of faith. So I've taken a lot of everything that I learned, and know that this is just part of the journey, and acknowledging that and embracing it, and just executing faithfully, but not recklessly. So still putting metrics in there in myself, thinking like, all right, this is the timeline I'm wishing to give myself, and establishing some go no go criteria for myself, where do at a certain stage, because sometimes it might, if you say like, oh, 1 year out, but it might not necessarily be 1 year. But so therefore I'm setting up criteria, thinking, okay, at this milestone, should I still go forward or not, based on, at the time, I would believe, like, the criteria that would be meaningful for me at that stage. Mainly is the main criteria being, is this a business that I still believe that with my effort that I could still take it to the next level that we need to reach, and if not, what would be the recourse for that? But right now, it's been I've been pushing forward.
My man Kyle's giving me podcast topic ideas. I just took another note. Go, no go criteria. Super important. And it's good that we have it for ourselves. And what I tell people is benchmark, right? Give yourself 90 days, then give yourself another 90 days, just like for a marketing strategy or hiring a new vendor, et cetera, et cetera. So if you guys got any other questions for Kyle, feel free to drop them in the chat as we transition to book recommendations for today. So Kyle, what book rec do you have for our viewers?
Yeah, the book rec that I have is a book called Path to Liberty, which is authored by a man named Thomas D. Wilhite. And he is the founder of what we call PSI seminars, or it can be pronounced as PSI seminars. That's the longest running personal development course of its type. At the graduate level, that's where you have like the Deepak Chopras, the Oprah Winfrey's, Jane Eyres coming to those events, because they got to be fed too. And what I like about this book, it was a summary of everything that I kind of learned in personal development, all wrapped into a very condensed, distilled format. I recommend everybody to not only read it, but go through some personal development seminars of your own too, because a lot of it is experiential. A lot of people logically could think through it, but going to seminars where you're able to take an operational pause in your life, slow down so you can speed up, and by doing so, you're able to articulate where you want to be in life, who do you want to be. And one of the concepts in that book is be, do, have, because a lot of us operate in the opposite. I need to have so I could do, or I need to do so I could have so I could be. Like I want to, if I do this job or this business, then I could have this money so that I could be happy, which is where it would be the reverse, where if I choose to already be happy, then I could do the things I want. I could have the things that I want as well. And it's a big fundamental shift in that. And that's what a lot of personal development is. It's kind of like getting back to the core of your beingness. And because of your beingness, you're able to, on the outside, on the surface, it would show up in a different way.
I don't know about you, but honestly, being an entrepreneur has been the hardest thing I've ever done. One of the hardest things I've ever done.
Absolutely.
Right? Like I read a little personal development stuff at the Naval Academy, but not nearly like I have to do now. Because when you're getting beat up, man, you can hit I believe all you want, but at the end of the day, when stuff's not getting done, balls are dropping, it's hard to lie to yourself. But that's why I think communities like what we have here is super important, because man, we're, especially for us as entrepreneurs, you're working at home, you're not going into the office. And so it can be real easy to just kind of get beat up, mentally. And so I appreciate you talking about, the personal development stuff. one of my book recs that I didn't actually key up for Amy, but I think I have it right here. It's called The Confident Mind by Dr. Nate Zinzer. And he talks about exactly what you said, choosing confidence, right? It's a conscious choice, right? Be confident right now. Just like you said, be happy right now, the good, the bad, the ugly.
Absolutely.
But my book rec for you all is actually Start Small, Stay Small, a developer's guide to launching a startup. I actually had Rob Walling on the Transition podcast to talk about this book. Rob is the founder of Tiny Seed, which basically invests in bootstrap startups, as well as a conference called MicroConf, which is like the largest gathering of bootstrap startup founders across the country. And as a brand strategist, I work with a lot of clients that some are bootstrap venture-backed startups. So this is a good refresher for me about how you think when you're going to market. Because there's a lot of, and you can relate to this, right? Sometimes we see these big companies doing things like Starbucks or Coca-Cola, or you hear about the latest startup in TechCrunch, but that don't work for you, in your basement with your one-man shop. I'm not saying you, I'm just saying some of our viewers. And so, just understanding that, hey, there's multiple ways to skin a cat. And for those that are bootstrapped, and a lot of them are in the bunker, I want to recommend this book. So check it out. Listen to the interview that I did with Rob on the transition. I'm actually going to go back and listen to it as well. So as we close out here, Kyle, been a pleasure. What words of encouragement would you like to leave our viewers with, and how can they follow you?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, since we were talking about going to market and whatnot, I'm gonna leave you guys away with this. Can't die from 100 no's to the chest. So stay in the fight and let's get it.
Yo, stop giving me podcast ideas. You can't die from 100 no's to the chest. Cool. Hold on, I gotta write this down, y'all. From 100 no's to the chest. That's great. All right, y'all. Well, Kyle, again, it's been a pleasure. For everyone on here, do me a favor. Make sure you subscribe to the Transition Podcast. Got some great content coming for you. Last week, again, I was at the CEO Circle flying. I was able to get a couple interviews. I just released the one with Claude Burns from Office Libations. Check it out. It's great. He talks about pivoting his business from basically selling subscription beer through the through e-commerce to launching a a beverage company, stocking companies, etc., with food, beer, snacks, etc. Really, really good. And then coming up, I have Ben Lang, the founder of Native, which has got this great product that helps translate different languages through technology from all over the country. So this is just some great content coming your way. I'd like to also give a shout out to our sponsors for Transition Podcast, MetLife Foundation, for supporting the show and just being a great partner. So until next week, everyone, peace, love, and have a great rest.